For the past 15 years, I've been calling out all of the bad practices in the self-help industry. The scammers, the unscientific advice, the marketing that preys on people's insecurities, the poorly trained therapists and coaches wasting people's time and dollars. Then last year, I realized that maybe for the first time ever, there was another way. There was a way to completely alter the trajectory of personal growth and mental health, disrupting multiple billion-dollar industries and helping millions of people around the world in the process. And even though it was going to be hard, expensive, and unbelievably difficult, it was a chance that I decided I had to take. My name is Mark Manson. I'm the 3-time #1 New York Times bestselling author, and I, unfortunately, have been a part of the self-help industry for nearly 20 years. Now, in that time, I've personally coached hundreds of people, spoken to audiences in the thousands, and sold over 20 million books. So you could say, I guess, that I've been part of the problem. Except for my entire career, I've been on a crusade against the worst practices of this industry. I've called out deceptive marketing, I've trashed the guru model as unhelpful at best and taken advantage of vulnerable people at worst. I've pushed the industry to become more scientifically grounded and empirical in the advice that it gives. But while it's been easy to poke holes and point out all of the flaws in this space, I am the first to admit that it's been hard to come up with something better to replace it. After all, it is easy to criticize. It's hard to make something yourself. Part of the problem is that despite hundreds of years of psychology and thousands of years of ancient wisdom, we still don't really have great data on what actually works for people, like what actually improves lives. Meta-analyses of mental health interventions find that almost nothing outperforms a placebo effect. And of those things that do, the very best therapies with the top therapists, they max out at around 45 to 50% efficacy. And to make matters worse, if you dig into the data around therapists and coaches, you find that the top 10% of practitioners are driving most of the results. And in fact, the bottom 10% of the industry can actually make people worse off. Now, this brings us to a core issue of personal growth, mental health, human potential in general. What works doesn't scale, and what scales doesn't work. To craft advice and insight that millions of people are going to relate to, by definition, you have to go very broad and shallow. You have to become somewhat superficial. You can talk about general principles of human psychology, but ultimately, it's on the listener to understand it and adopt it into their own lives. Meanwhile, the things that work, which is basically excellent guidance from an excellent mentor, requires lots of hours of intense conversation, vulnerability, trust, mutual understanding, and at the end of the day, there are only so many people in the world with so much time. To give you a sense of the scope of this doesn't scale problem, recent data out of the UK found that there's 40 times the demand for therapists, mentorship, and counseling than there is supply. That's a huge problem, and there's no solution in sight. Now, last year, it seemed like everyone was secretly, quietly using ChatGPT as a therapist or a coach. And the problem is, well, ChatGPT kind of sucks as a therapist or a coach. It constantly validates you, it doesn't challenge you, it makes up crazy facts about you, it kisses your ass and tries to tell you whatever you want to hear, essentially. Anybody who's actually been to therapy or had a good coach or mentor knows that that's not what's useful. So the question is, can you fix that? Like, what would an actual good AI coach look like? Now, recent surveys have shown that of the 1 billion people that have used ChatGPT, more than half of them have already tried to use it for some sort of support or life advice. And that some estimates suggest that 100 million people use it regularly as their primary therapist or life coach. So the first challenge of developing an AI coach is to develop a coach that knows when to support you and when to challenge you. In many ways, this is like the defining factor of what a good supportive human is able to do. And it's hard because most of the AIs are built by default to make you feel good all the time. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're designed to be assistants. And what do assistants say? Yes, to everything. They tell you they can do anything and that all of your ideas are great. So it makes sense that the primary use case of the foundational models is not going to translate well to any sort of life advice or personal support that you might want. So the question then arises is, how do you know when to challenge somebody and how do you know when to support them? Well, it really depends on the nature of the problem. If there's an acute emotional issue that's going on, if the person is in severe distress or really upset about something, obviously you support them in that moment and maybe go a little bit lighter on the intellectual challenge. And so the first thing is to calibrate an AI to understand the acuteness and the immediacy of the emotional problem. Is this a short-term issue or is this a long-term issue? And then you gauge the challenge or support accordingly. Now, this leads us into the second problem with AI, is that most AIs lack context. That is, it doesn't have a 360 view of your life. Like, one of the things that makes a therapist or a coach so useful is that you spend so much time with them and they basically download background information from your life to get a better understanding of what advice is going to be helpful or useful in each situation. See, ChatGPT knows about the speaker system that you needed help installing last week and the workout routine that you created for yourself 2 months ago and never went back to. Oh, and the birthday decorations for your kid that you bought, but it doesn't necessarily know what actually matters to you. And worse, it can't contextualize these things very well. So the second problem is building a memory system that properly weighs all of the information that the AI has about you. If you go to ChatGPT, it knows that you own this speaker system and that maybe your kid likes this type of birthday cake, but it doesn't understand that one of those memories is far more important to you as a person than the other. And this is the result that most people who try to use ChatGPT for this sort of thing run into, is they realize that it's weighing their childhood memories with their mother relatively the same as the TV stand that they bought at IKEA last week. Now, the third problem is that there's no personality. And no personality means it's not fun. And it turns out that that actually matters a lot. Because if you look at the research on what interventions actually help people, a huge percentage of it boils down to what is often called in the literature the therapeutic alliance. And the therapeutic alliance is essentially just chemistry and trust. Basically, are you talking to somebody that you enjoy talking to? Are you talking to somebody that you trust, that you get along with, that you feel understands you, and it's actually seeing you for who you are? Yet the problem is that the foundational models are these generic formulaic machines that just give you the same blasé answer that they give everybody else. So it's hard to truly trust that you're feeling heard and understood when you talk to them. A proper AI coach would learn your personality and dynamically adapt to what makes you feel connected and heard. It would learn your humor, your communication style, your moods, your personality, how you want to be spoken to. Now, the fourth problem is that it only focuses on surface level issues. It ignores the problem beneath the problem. So if you show up saying, all my exes suck, why do I get so unlucky? It will sit there and try to talk through what fights you had with your exes, what you could have said better, maybe if you had been a little bit more understanding here. And it's not looking at actually the underlying pattern that is causing you to get into such fucked up relationships in the first place. Basically, not only does it not know your values and your deeper personality traits, but it doesn't even think to ask in the first place. So a proper AI coach would elicit these values and traits from you through an onboarding experience, therefore being able to know and personalize its responses to you within minutes, essentially building that context that you need for a therapeutic alliance within minutes instead of 6 months of sitting on a fucking couch talking to a stranger. So I came to this conclusion around last year that this was potentially the biggest opportunity in this space in my lifetime. That if you could actually wrangle and lasso an AI into doing these things consistently and effectively, you would have an unbelievable solution for millions of people around the world. It would be more affordable, it would be more available, it would be more consistent, it wouldn't go on vacation or disappear, it would be available at 3 a.m. when you're having a crisis. It would be better in almost every way, shape, and form. So I got to work. I bought a bunch of books on AI engineering and AI businesses. I learned some basic programming. I started learning how to actually build something that would look like this. And then I went and got a co-founder. His name is Raj Singh, and he's been building AI companies for over a decade. Then we hired away Headspace's head of engineering, the man who designed Headspace's AI coach, but was frustrated because Headspace wasn't willing to go all in and develop it the way he saw fit. All in all, we built a team that has started half a dozen companies and has over 30 years of coaching experience, as well as over 15 years building AI products. We then worked with coaches and psychologists to check our work and make sure that we were building the most useful thing possible. And the result is an app that we call Purpose. It's an AI designed to understand you at a deeper level in minutes than your therapist probably does in months. And it gives personalized advice, action items, it points out your blind spots, it looks at the problem underneath the problem, and it pushes into your insecurities. I'm incredibly proud of the result and excited for the potential. We called the product Purpose because ultimately, this AI, it's not about feeling better about your life. It's about being better. It's about finding something more meaningful, more important. And finding something important doesn't always feel good necessarily. It's not about analyzing the emotion. It's about looking at the purpose underneath the emotion and questioning what that value is and whether it should be there or not. In a sense, this is much deeper and different than what you would get from a traditional AI chatbot. It's more existential. It's more philosophical. It's more like a mentor. Now, most products in this space are, to be frank, bad. They're just what are known as ChatGPT wrappers. A ChatGPT wrapper is when somebody just takes a system prompt, slaps it on top of ChatGPT, and then develops a UI over it and calls it a product. When really the entire time you're just talking to ChatGPT with just different wallpaper. What we've done at Purpose is take the best aspects of all 5 of the major models, integrated them in a way that is unique and proprietary, and also added specific architecture and technology ourselves. It's an AI experience that you cannot reproduce anywhere else. But the most important question, does it actually work? Well, I could sit here and ramble on for another 20 minutes, but I guess you guys probably won't trust what I say. So why don't we listen to what it has to say?
Whoa, hold up. Sounds like you're either multitasking hard or your brain's firing on about 12 cylinders right now. I caught something about paper, signing up for cards, and then a hello testing thrown in there. That's a lot of different threads happening at once. You good? Or are you juggling so many things that your thoughts are coming out like a blender without a lid?
Yeah, sorry about that. Everybody in the room was talking at once, but I'm here now. I'm ready to fix my life.
Okay, so you were in chaos mode, and now you're ready to get down to business. I like the energy shift, but hold up. Fix my life is a pretty loaded phrase. What exactly feels broken that needs fixing? Because most of the time when people say that, they're not actually broken. What's making you feel like your life needs a complete overhaul?
Well, all my exes were horrible, horrible people. And I don't understand what's wrong with women. I'm such an amazing guy, and yet every woman I date is mean and manipulative and breaks my heart. It's not fair.
Okay, here's the uncomfortable truth. You're the common denominator in all of those relationships. Look, I'm not saying these women weren't difficult, but when it's every single one being horrible and manipulative, that's not bad luck with women, dude. That's a pattern you're either creating or attracted to. So what do you think you're missing here? Because amazing guys don't consistently end up with mean, manipulative partners by accident.
Whoa, are you saying I'm not an amazing guy?
No, I'm saying amazing guys don't have a 100% track record of dating horrible people. That math doesn't add up. You might be a great guy.
Sorry, I'm laughing too much.
So we were in the middle of you realizing that maybe, just maybe, there's more to this dating pattern than all women are terrible. You good to keep going? Or are you still cracking up over there? Because honestly, laughter's a good sign. Means you're not taking yourself too seriously. Which is half the battle when it comes to actually changing patterns.
So my team wants me to buy an island so that we can all move there together and start a cult. And the key part of this cult is that there are more cats than people. What do you think about this idea? Should I support it? Should I get on board? Give me the pros and cons.
All right. You're clearly just messing with me now. Trying to see if I'll bite on increasingly ridiculous scenarios. Look, I get it. You probably wanted to test the boundaries or see how I'd react to absurd stuff. But here's the thing.
It's too smart for me.
We started with some...
You're too smart for me.
Nah, I'm not too smart. You're just being a smartass and I called you on it. Look, we had something real going when you were talking about your dating patterns. That's not me being too smart, that's you deflecting when things got a little too real. So what's it gonna be? You actually want to dig into why you keep ending up with the same type person? Or are we gonna keep playing games?
I guess you're right. I'm deflecting from the real issue, which is that deep down, I feel unlovable and unworthy of affection, particularly from women, because my mom was extremely cold and distant when I was growing up. What should I do?
There it is. That's the real shit right there. And honestly, that took guts to say out loud. Here's what you do. Stop trying to get from women what your mom never gave you. Because when you're dating to fill that childhood wound, you're not actually seeing the person in front of you. You're seeing a potential fix for your pain. And guess what happens when someone can't fix something that was never their job to fix in the first place? They get frustrated, you get clingy or resentful, and boom, manipulative woman strikes again.
For the record, my mom was awesome. That was just a demo. Don't get upset, Mom. It wasn't about you. So one of the reasons it's able to be so smart is that the onboarding is built to elicit your personality and your values and the things that you care about as soon as possible. And then on top of that, we have different quests and journeys systems that basically you go through, you answer personal questions about yourself in kind of a survey format. And then that informs the AI to better understand you and better help you as you're going along. And this stuff is, of course, designed to be fun. You know, we've got little rewards and little path, and you get to like level up and all that good shit. I wanted to focus on the problem of purpose because to me, purpose is the most unscalable problem. It's the thing that is most personal and most difficult for each individual to figure out. It's the hardest thing for anybody to write a book about or give a seminar about that's going to touch people deeply in a personal way. I also believe that our society is in a crisis of purpose. I think a lot of what is considered the mental health epidemic or the anxiety epidemic or the political extremism, like all of these things are rooted in a deep lack of purpose and meaning among the population. So if you could create a tool that could instantly personalize its advice and its guidance to help each individual person find their purpose in life based on their situation, their unique circumstances, their personality, and their values, the things that they hold to be important and dear to themselves, that is just the highest leverage impact you could have with a technology like this. This video is going up on December 7th. We are running a special promotion for the next 10 days, which is that if you sign up for an annual plan for Purpose, we will send you a free $99 course on how to find your purpose in life. It's a course I created exclusively for my community members, but for this limited time, it will be open to the public. To get that course, go to purpose.app/bonus. Again, you have to sign up in the next 10 days. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Hopefully, I mean, it's not perfect. It's a version 1. We've been working super hard on it, but in my experience, and at this point, I have literally tried every single AI there is on the market for this sort of use case. I believe that we've built the best by far, and the rate at which we're improving it is absolutely staggering. And so I can't wait to see what happens in 2026. Stick around, get signed up. I'm super excited. Look forward to sharing more.